After spending nearly 3 decades on death row, Charles Victor Thompson was executed on January 28, 2026, at 6 p.m. at the Huntsville Unit in Texas. His execution brought an end to a case that began years earlier with a violent crime, a rare and historic prison escape, and a legal battle that stretched across decades. In this video, we will examine the crime that led to Thompson's death sentence, how he managed to escape from custody while awaiting trial, and what occurred in the final hours leading up to his execution at age 55, the first execution in the United States this year, including his last words. This video discusses graphic violence, murder, and execution. Viewer discretion is advised. But before we go ahead, tell me where you're watching from in the comments. Like and subscribe to keep seeing videos like this. The story begins in Houston, Texas, in 1997, when Thompson, then 27 years old and already involved in drugs and criminal activity, crossed paths with a woman named Glenda Dennise Hayslip. Charles Victor Thompson was born on June 13, 1970, in Harris County, Texas, as a white male, 6 feet tall and weighing around 216 pounds. He completed his education only up to the 10th grade and had no prior prison record before his capital offense. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, details of his childhood and family remain sparse, though he later maintained contact with his father during the aftermath of his crimes. By the 1980s and 1990s, Thompson held various jobs in the Houston area, including roles in heating and air conditioning installation, electronics, pest control as an exterminator, and general labor. Around 1997, Thompson began a romantic relationship with Glenda Dennise Hayslip, a 39-year-old white woman and a mother of 13 years old Wade Hayslip, living in an apartment in the Houston suburb of Tomball, Harris County, Texas. Dennise Hayslip was a nail technician who owned her own nail salon, and was divorced in 1996 when Wade was just 11 years old. Their relationship was described by neighbors as off and on due to the constant issues and beating that occurred, lasting about a year, during which Thompson became well acquainted with Hayslip's residence. By April 1998, Hayslip met Darren Keith Cain, a 30-year-old bartender, at a local bar she frequented with Thompson. On the evening of April 29, 1998, Dennise told Thompson she wanted to be with Darren, which he accepted, and they had a drink that evening at Dennise's apartment. While they were having the drink, an argument erupted which led into a fight between the two men. Hayslip called the police, and when they arrived, they escorted Thompson outside her premises around 3 a.m. Thompson, still angry, returned 3 hours later in the early morning of April 30th, armed with a firearm. This incident underscored the ongoing disagreement rooted in Thompson's inability to accept the end of his relationship with Hayslip and his envy of her new partner. Thompson gained entry to the residence by kicking in the front door, at which point he confronted Cain and Hayslip. Thompson fired 4 rounds into Cain's neck and chest, resulting in immediate fatal trauma. Following the incapacitation of Cain, Thompson focused his attention on Hayslip. After reloading the weapon, he reportedly uttered a disparaging remark, "I can shoot you too, bitch," before discharging a round into her face. The projectile entered through her cheek, causing catastrophic internal damage, including extensive brain damage from oxygen deprivation and the near-total severance of her tongue. Despite these severe injuries, Hayslip survived the initial shooting but was critically wounded and airlifted via life flight helicopter to a hospital for emergency surgery. Thompson fled the scene, disposing of the murder weapon in nearby Cypress Creek, and confessed the details to a confidant, Diane Zernia, who he went to get a nap at his house. Later that morning, he contacted his father, who arranged his surrender to authorities, stating in his own words that he wanted to make himself available for questioning. On May 7, 1998, Hayslip, who had remained comatose on life support due to complications from the gunshot wound including tongue swelling, risk of bleeding out or drowning in blood, and interventions like a nasotracheal tube was removed from life support by her family request, died as a result of the injuries inflicted by Thompson. The medical examiner and prosecution maintained that the gunshot was the primary cause of death, countering defense claims of medical negligence or intervening causes. During his pretrial detention in Harris County Jail from 1998 to 1999, Thompson attempted to eliminate witnesses by soliciting murders. He approached inmates Reed and Humphrey to kill Diane Zernia, the key witness linking him to the crimes. Reed and Humphrey confessed about it, but the police wouldn't believe it until they contacted Gray Johnson, who posed himself as a hired hitman, and in a wired meeting with investigator Gary Johnson posing as a hitman. Thompson offered $1,500 to retrieve the weapon and kill Zernia, providing a hand-drawn map of her address, family details, and vehicle descriptions. In August 1998, he also solicited informant Robin Rhodes to murder a hit list of witnesses, including Zernia, or to persuade them not to testify. He was doing all of these to make sure none of the witnesses testified against him. In April 1999, Thompson faced trial in Harris County on capital murder charges. During the guilt phase, debates centered on Hayslip's cause of death under Texas Penal Code Section 6.04, with prosecution testimony from medical examiner Paul Schroed, and the attending doctor establishing the gunshot as the primary cause, while defense expert Pat Radelat conceded she probably would have died without intervention. In the punishment phase, evidence of the solicited murders was introduced to prove future dangerousness. On April 14, 1999, the jury convicted the then 28-year-old Thompson of capital murder and sentenced him to death. On October 24, 2001, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals reversed the death sentence on direct appeal due to a Sixth Amendment violation from improper evidence in the punishment phase. The court withdrew a granted rehearing on guilt phase issues on April 9, 2003. From 2004 to 2005, a retrial focused solely on the punishment phase, excluding the Gary Johnson evidence. Prosecutor Vic Wisner portrayed the killings as motivated by revenge, with Rhodes testifying about the solicitation. Defense attorney Terry Geiser argued it was a crime of passion and questioned Rhodes' credibility, noting his history as an informant in over 50 cases. On October 28, 2005, a new jury again sentenced Thompson to death. Just days later, from November 3 to 6, 2005, while held in Harris County Jail awaiting transfer to the Pulaski Unit, Thompson executed the most shocking prison escapes ever carried out by a death row inmate in the state. He smuggled a handcuff key, a fake ID badge claiming to be a state investigator from the Attorney General's office, and civilian clothes including khaki pants, a dark blue shirt, and white tennis shoes into his cell via a legal binder.
Really all I needed was the ID to facilitate it, and the handcuff key, which I did obtain down there, not here.
During a purported attorney meeting on November 3, 2005, once alone, he slipped out of his handcuffs and changed out of his orange prison jumpsuit and into the smuggled civilian attire.
Start thinking about it. The day you're sentenced to death, it's on your mind regularly, man, I'd like to get out of here.
Thompson then walked toward the exit, flashing his fake ID badge which claimed he was a state investigator with the Attorney General's office to at least 4 jail employees.
Don't run, walk. And when I walked out the steps and turned to walk behind vehicles, I looked over my shoulder. I was expecting like a squad, a goon squad or something to come running out and tackle me. I couldn't believe it either. I was just amazed. I was like, wow, I can't believe I did it.
He bluffed his way past the final guards at the front door by walking calmly. Nothing suspicious was noticed by any of the guards. He boarded a freight train to East Texas, staying in an open boxcar which he later described as an adventure where he felt dirty and happy, before reaching Shreveport, Louisiana. There, he stole a bicycle and posed as a Hurricane Katrina evacuee to obtain money from Good Samaritans. He then started making calls across to his friends in Canada, planning to wire funds to him for a planned trip to Canada. He was captured on November 6, 2005, intoxicated at a payphone outside a liquor store in Shreveport following a 3-day manhunt.
I don't wish those people any harm. There's nothing I can say that's going to make them feel better, and they probably won't even be receptive to whatever I have to say. I mean, I deeply regret what I did. I live with it every day.
Thompson waived extradition and was returned to Texas. The escape highlighted jail negligence, resulting in 1 employee being fired and 7 disciplined. Notably, Thompson became the only U.S. death row inmate to escape a facility in the 21st century. Thompson later claimed that a sergeant had found a previous set of smuggled clothes but had merely confiscated them as contraband without reporting the incident to the district attorney's office. On October 31, 2007, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals affirmed the second death sentence on direct appeal. The U.S. Supreme Court denied certiorari on October 6, 2008. Between 2008 and 2025, Thompson's case gained media attention. His story appeared in the 2008 biography The Grass Beneath His Feet. The Charles Victor Thompson story by Roger Rodriguez, which focused on the escape but omitted details about the handcuff key source. He was featured in so many movies and channels, where he discussed the murders and his experiences on death row. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals denied his first state habeas corpus application on April 17, 2013, and his second on March 9, 2016. The U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Texas denied his federal habeas petition on March 23, 2017. From February 18, 2019, to May 7, 2020, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals granted a certificate of appealability on a specific claim, heard the appeal, affirmed the denial on October 29, 2019, and denied rehearing on May 7, 2020. The U.S. Supreme Court denied certiorari on the federal habeas appeal on March 22, 2021. On September 11, 2025, Harris County prosecutors secured a death warrant, scheduling Thompson's execution by lethal injection at the Huntsville Unit for January 28, 2026. In an October 2025 interview, Thompson expressed his intent to continue fighting his case but acknowledged that a stay was unlikely due to his escape attempt. On January 27 and 28, 2026, 55-year-old Thompson requested a stay from the U.S. Supreme Court, which was denied. His last meal consisted of breakfast items like scrambled eggs, grape jelly, oatmeal, applesauce, and biscuits, followed by lunch of fried chicken, pinto beans, sweet potatoes, carrots, sliced bread, swirl pudding, punch, and water. At approximately 6:50 p.m. on January 28, 2026, Thompson was executed by lethal injection at the Huntsville Unit in Huntsville, Texas, and pronounced dead. He became the first person executed in the U.S. in 2026 and Texas's first of the year. Witnesses included relatives of the victims, such as Cain's father. Thompson's final words were, "I hope the victim's family, their extended family, and their loved ones can find forgiveness in their heart, and that you can begin to heal and move past this. There are no winners here. It creates more trauma and more victims after 28 years." The execution took place nearly 28 years after the murders, following about 26 years on death row. Thompson was pronounced dead at 6:50 p.m. Central Time after lethal injection. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to read them. Subscribe and share the link to your friends. Thanks once again, and hopefully I will see you on the next one.